Let's talk about the inevitable. I wanted to wait until I had all the information before I started speaking on it. Obviously, we're looking at the motorcycles, so you know what that involves. More specifically, Yamaha motorcycles and their newest idea of the super sport. Not super bike, which is liters, super sport, middleweights, small bikes. Let's talk about it.
Oh, you could see it way before I come. Ain't gotta say where I'm from, don't act dumb.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, the topic at hand is Yamaha and what they decided to do with a fully famous nameplate in their lineup. Yamaha has always been in the mindset of making very, very aggressive street motorcycles. Probably about since when the FZR started coming into its own. Super sport category, the 600cc category, just a class that just, you make what goes all out, and as long as it wins, it's good to go. There was a 750 category. There was always a 750 category, but everybody made 750s. Yamaha, Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, the big four from the Japanese market. The Italian guys did as well. But in the midst of that battle, there was a bike that Yamaha made that they wanted world domination. They wanted nothing else than to dominate the world. And not only dominate the world, they wanted to dominate the world in the 750 class. Well, they decided to make an R model, which are the R6, R1. They wanted to make an R7. The 750 category blew wide open with the R7. The R7 was only put on the streets so that it could race in a specific class of endurance racing at Suzuka 8 Hours and super bikes. The R7 was no frills. There was no excuse to not be the best. The fuel field came as a racing setup that you could use on the street. The headlights were sealed projectors that was made for endurance, but they worked on the street. Not even a tail light, this is what I've mocked this bike up to be. It was just a marker, an indicator. That bike was no bullshit, no excuses. That nameplate was cult-like. Everybody knew and loved that nameplate. But I say new because that bike was made over 20 years ago. And there's not that many examples of it rolling around in the streets. There's only 500 of them. So anybody that had them, they kept them tucked away in closets. You could only get them if you were a race team or you had that clout like that to get it from Yamaha, and they accepted the fact that, you were going to use it to ride around on the street. So where does the controversy come in at? The controversy comes in 2022 model number, R7 pops up. Now people were watching this because it came up in patents. Patents for the R7 started to pop up. People were paying attention to that. And then all of a sudden, they started seeing things associated with that patent start to develop around the MT07 power plant, the CPO2, the cross-plane 2-piston inline twin. Not a 4-cylinder. 4-cylinders scream. 4-cylinders make power. 4-cylinders are performance. Why are they naming the R7 after a 2-cylinder? Then the second thing is, what's it going to look like? Is it going to be a great new design? What's it going to resemble? The Yamaha press release was this week, technically last week if you're seeing this now. The bike is released. It's amazing. It's small. It's skinny. But it's not fast. So how did Yamaha come to this? Why the f*** y'all just do this with this nameplate on motorcycle? Well, Yamaha had all the answers for all the hate that they've been getting since the people dug it up on the internet and found out what this bike was about. Yamaha said everybody got pussy. And all reality is, they've been watching the R6 nameplate not be sold. The used market for R6s has gone up 85%. Nobody was buying brand new R6s. And what does that do? That hurts the company when they're spending money to develop and make this bike. Myself, I am part of this problem. I really like their older models. And I was waiting for them to do something innovative with the 600. Cross-plane 600, I don't know. I just wanted something different because the current model R6 that just got discontinued is actually a 2006. That is when it changed from this right here to what it is now in 06. Why did Yamaha do that? Why haven't they changed it? Well, for one, the market hasn't really grown. Since 08, everything has been a decline. It kind of does make sense because you got people on the internet saying, oh, you don't need to get on the R6 as a beginner bike. They're too aggressive, they're too dangerous, they're too crazy. Get on the R3. Guess what R3 sales did? R3 sales shot through the roof. Then you had the idiots, nah, don't start on the 600. You should get on the R1. I myself have told people that if you don't feel like you want a 600, go to a leader bike. It just depends on the twist of your wrist, how you are going to activate the throttle. A bike doesn't do anything that you don't want it to do, right? But I don't tell people to just forego the 600. I tell people to get on the 600, experience the 600. You'll have a damn blast on the 600. So Yamaha's been keeping track of that. New bike sales have not gone towards the R6. They've gone towards the R3. And they've gone towards the MT-07. So Yamaha said, okay, we're going to fix this. The market is reset. We're on the backside of it, and we got to figure this shit out. So all they did was combine the ideology of what they built the R3 with, give it a 700cc motor, which came from the MT-07. They retuned it specifically for what they wanted to do. They adjusted the frame that they already had. They essentially saved some money and then gave you a very, very nice looking bike, which is now the step up from the R3. It is not a replacement for the R6. That is not what it is. The R6 is gone. It's a thing of the past up to now, as far as we know so far. Now, why call it an R7? Why not call it a MT-07R or an RT-07? Yamaha said, man, F all that cleverness. We're staying with our name brand, with our bloodline, with our lineage. And if we're going to make a 700cc super sport, it has to use the name R. So we get the R7. Well, what about the OW01? The FZR 750. It was an FZR. It wasn't an R7. Then we had the R7, the OW02. OW02 is legendary. What about that? Yamaha's like, what about it? Most of the people buying motorcycles now don't even know what the hell that is. They don't even remember it. They're too young to even care about that. With the rising gas prices, all these kids want is an A to B thing that's fun, that looks cool. And I didn't even know which way I was going to go, but I just decided right here. So Yamaha said, man, forget about that. That's old news. This is what we're doing now. Get on board or don't. This is what the new R7 is. The R7 is this bike. It's the between, it's the gap, the bridge between the R3 and the R1. It's actually a good deal. I've been complaining about bikes that have electronic throttles, that have servos, that don't connect this to the engine. That's solved in the R7. We have no computer assistance. It is pure throttle cable, straight to the butterflies. No other settings, no rider mode. You just have pure bike, pure motorcycle to ride. It does have ABS, but there's no controls for it. What can we do? Pull the fuse out. You pull the fuse on them, ABS is gone. It's just old school motorcycling is what they've done. The bike's very narrow. I like narrow bikes. The FZR is very narrow. I've mentioned that before. It feels like a little mini bike. That's very enjoyable. It's very interesting to get a big street bike that feels like a mini bike. So now the market's reset. When this bike came out, when this legendary bike came out, whooping ass, what did they do with this bike? How did this bike come through as legendary as it was? The performance, the class beating, everything that they were offering at the point in time. Well, the price was right. This bike brand new, not this 05 model, but when this generation came about, this bike brand new, it was $8,000. This is 2021. The R7, brand new model, is $8,900. For the last couple of years, 600s have been $13,000. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to buy any of the new bikes unless they were releasing great technology with it. I'm not going to spend $13,000 on the same bike that's been out since 06. That's how the market kind of went away from 600s. And I've said this before, at the point in time that the information was released, the UK had only sold 50 R6s. 50, that's it. That's crazy to me. Euro standards changed. All of that went away from the performance that 600s offered for how much pollutants they put out. So Yamaha answered all of the questions that people had. The price, the design, the look, the power. Oh, are you gonna go against the Aprilia? Like they said, the Aprilia isn't our focus. We don't give a shit what the Aprilia is doing. This is not an Aprilia competitor. They showed you who they were targeting, and when you look at it, horsepower, weight, price is very competitive. There's even whispers of a Super Twin class coming up. We might see this bike race, actually. The biggest gripe about R6s, right? How aggressively you sit on them, how hard you have to really be in it to get the power out of them. To use the bike to its full potential on the street is a pain in the ass. It's annoying. Those are the things that Yamaha addressed and said, look, man, we made track bike first that could be ridden on the street. Well, now they made street bike first that could be ridden on the track. They asked people. They had a focus group where they literally asked people, what do you want to see us do with this model of bike? A lot of people said, I don't know, like everybody does. So they said, well, what if we did this? People said, okay, I'm with that. So that's what they did. The model was made off of our actions. The model was made off of what we showed Yamaha we wanted. Yamaha was sitting with a whole heap of bikes left that weren't selling. So now I guarantee you all those bikes that are going to be the track-oriented joints, well, those are all going to just be older models that they didn't sell, that they just retuned. Which I think is hilarious because, yeah, we just repackage them for you. No matter how gorgeous this bike is, no matter how powerful this bike is, no matter how usable this bike is, there's always some people that are going to complain about this motorcycle, which a lot of people have. Cost to make, to how many people are taking them, sending them off the shelf, just didn't make sense for Yamaha anymore. I can't act like I'm not a hypocrite because I had not bought the newest one. I did buy the next innovative model after this, and I loved it. But I love this one a little bit more because I'm older. I know exactly what I want. I don't really care about the newest, freshest technical look. But I do care about if they've stepped up the mile marker, if they stepped up the bar. The next bike did step up the bar, but that bike from that point stayed exactly what it was. It just changed fairings. I haven't rode it, so I don't know what it actually feels like. But let's just think about this. 113 horsepower, 120 horsepower out of this. 40 something pound-feet of torque, 45 pound-feet of torque. The new R7 has 50 pound-feet of torque and about 75 horsepower. But now that power is way lower in the power band than this. That power, that peak power here is way up top. The R7's a little lower. What does that mean? That means we could beast out on these streets, literally whoop these streets down easier than it would be with like a bike like this. They saw what people were buying and they sent us something that we really want, we really need, we really might like. I think that it's a good reset in the marketplace. I'm into it. I have pre-ordered one. I'll be going down and checking it out. The versus battle has started. Timberland and Swiss, the originators of the situation. The first versus battle was Tim and Swiss, and I'm gonna watch this as I ride to the house. So let's go mob to the crib.
So to kind of sum it all up, I think the Yamaha has done a good thing. They've changed the direction. They're trying to offer something different as far as what the market requires and what the market desires. They produced a bike. These things are gone. Just like most of our rotaries are gone, our V10s are gone, our V12s are gone. We're going to be on EV vehicles. Yamaha has decided to just downsize the cylinders and give us a cross-plane 2-cylinder, whereas our R1s are a cross-plane 4. So you essentially do what Aprilia had done and give you the RS 660, which is half of its V4. Well, you're getting the R7, which is half of an R1. But mark my words, I think it's going to be just as fun. And with that being said, we're going to close out this video and get y'all two.